everyone, it's me again, Penny, Queen of the Dragons. I know, this thing is cool right now, but I think I'm gonna get rid of it pretty soon. It's fucking itchy as shit. Anyway, so I watched another movie that I won from trivia. So a little backstory. The building that we used to do trivia in caught fire during Typhoon Merbock, and it caught fire and the building burnt down. So now the building that we usually do trivia in is gone. Well, half gone. The movie I watched tonight is called Kiss of the Damned. Anyway, Kiss of the Damned, Her Love Will Never Die. Starring Josephine de la Bum, Riley Kill, Roxanne Mosquito, whatever, Michael Rappaport, and Milo Ventimiglia, the guy from Heroes. So this one was interesting. Lots of doing the nasty. Which is, you know, whatever. I mean, Milo's hot. I don't mind seeing his booty. It's a vampire movie. So the movie starts off, there's a lady and she's watching these old movies, and then it skips to a scene of something running in the like a forest, and it's running super fast, and she's like, the girl's looking at her laptop, and then the thing, like, it's like blood that squirts onto a tree, and Kiss of the Damned. The maid, so, okay, I cannot with this. So the maid comes in, and she sees like spatters of blood on the floor, and she gets a little napkin and just like, you know, cleans it up. This bitch eats fruit. They're at a video store. Well, this movie was made in like 2013, so I guess there was still video stores there. R.I.P. video stores. She goes to the video store and she sees Milo, whatever, and she goes outside, and the guy's like, "Hey, my name's Paolo," and she's like, "My name's Gina," and he's like, "Okay, great." So they go to another like place, and he says like, "Oh, I am a screenwriter," and he's staying at a place, and she said, "Oh, I'm staying at a place too. My friend is gone for the summer, and she's letting me use her house." She translates literature. She said she has a skin condition. She can't be out in the sun. So they're watching a black and white movie, Gina and Paolo. They go into the kitchen and start getting frisky, and then she says she wants him to leave. He's like, "Okay, but I'm going to call you tomorrow." Some bitch leaves Paolo a voicemail. Paolo goes out to this bar, and he's sitting there, and the girl's like, "Hey, you want, I see you like scotch. I think you'd like this scotch." And he's like, "Okay." And then he drives over to the girl, Gina's house, and he's like, "Hey, I'm coming. Better open the door." He goes to her door, and she has the little chain thing, and they start like making out into that little crack in the door. So they're just like, so they're like fucking going to town on each other, and she bites his tongue, and he's just like, "Oh, ah." But he leaves, and then he's at the grocery store, and he's talking to his agent, and he thinks he sees her, And then not like the rental movie. Anyway, he goes back to the vampire girl's house. All right, before we start again, so I had wine at my dinner with my friend, and I came back and like all I had was these Corona seltzers. So that's what I'm having tonight. So he goes to her place, and you know, there's a lot of sex in this movie. You know, a lot of banging, which, you know, I'm not opposed of. I'm a single lady, and I live in fucking wherever the fuck, Alaska, and it's pretty lonely over here. I'm not gonna lie, but this movie, you know, was a good reminder of what I'm not getting. So he's driving over there, and he's like, "Hey, I'm coming over. Open the door." And he comes over. She lets him in, and she's like, "Feel my heart." There's nothing there. And he's like, oh, okay, you're a vampire. And he's like, "Vampires are not real." And she's like, "Well, I'll show you. I'll prove it to you." So she brings him to this bedroom where he like ties her up, like her arms and her legs, and then he starts like kissing her, like going down, blah, blah, blah. And she's just like, you know, and then she's like, "Oh, it's happening already, come see." So he like crawls all over on top of her to her face, and she's got like fangs. She's like, see? But she's like convulsing, but he fucks her anyway. He like takes off the chains on her feet and the things on her arms, and just starts, you know, going to town like it's not a big deal. And then of course she fucking bites him, and it looks like right when he's reached the holy land. And she asks him later on, because he's looking in the mirror and he has these two like giant marks on his neck, and she says, "Are you scared?" And he's like, "No, you know, it was bound to happen. I was willing to do anything to be with you." Lucky bitch. I can't even get a text back. He's like, "Well, she's like, "You're gonna live forever, but the things that could kill you are sunlight, decapitation, and fire. So those are they're the only things that can kill you. But besides that, you're pretty much immortal, and you'll stay the same age." She tries to take him out, like hunting or whatever. And he said that he just wants to get it over with. Everything, like his senses and stuff, are heightened. The sister comes. Gina's sister. She said that she was in like Amsterdam or something. What was nice though, like what kind of worked was both the ladies had some type of accent.
Don't romanticize stupid humans and wash them to goggles like a freak.
No, you just leave a trail of shit wherever you go and get off on it.
Which I thought worked very well for this movie, because when I pay attention to shit like that, and like accents and things like that, like if they're relatives, they have to like have something like that in common, right? Not like Batman and Robin when Alicia Silverstone is supposed to be Alfred's niece from London, and she's got a fucking American accent. That shit made zero sense to me.
Uncle Alfred!
Oh, my dear. Oh, my dear, what a most wonderful surprise. How in the world did you manage to come here all the way from England? Oh, my dear, you are so kind to your old one.
I've got something in my bag for you.
No.
But apparently, so the sister is kind of like, I don't know if she's like a black sheep or what, but so the sisters are like hanging out, watching kids running around with like the binoculars. What the fuck was that? That was a little creepy. So the sister tells Gina, she's like, well, I'm surprised to see you with a man. The last time you were with a man was like Henry, like 60 years ago. And Gina was like, well, you know, she loves him. Gina, she's like telling her sister, yeah, you leave a trail of shit wherever you go. And the sister's like, fucking don't judge me, bitch. And the sister's driving around looking for a bite to eat. And Gina and Paolo at a restaurant. So Paolo, he's like, well, we need to get out of here. We need to go somewhere. Sister, Mimi? I think her name is Mimi. She goes to a club and she's like looking around and she spots a dude and she walks out and he follows her. And he follows her out there and they start talking and he's like, hey, you want to come back, hang out with us? And she's like, no, come here. And he's like, okay. So he goes over to her and they start kissing and they start like basically doing it like right there. And of course she takes a big old chunk out of his freaking jugular and kills him. The sister meets Paolo. So Gina and Paolo go out to this like fancy party. And Paolo meets all her fancy friends. So they are, you know, rich, very rich. They live very lavish lives. And they're vampires. They even take like shots of blood. And the guy's like, don't worry, it's not human blood. It's like synthetic blood or something like that. There's like this actress lady that's like kind of one of the main people of this party, like, and she's telling Gina, like, you know, he's extraordinary. And Mimi shows up, the sister shows up at the party. Probably not very welcome. They're all sitting around talking about their synthetic blood that's not yet FDA approved. They're like talking about all their morals and blah blah blah. I don't know, I started to drift off at that part. It was a little boring, I'm not gonna lie. And the sister, she ends up meeting a couple of people and start having an orgy in their house. So it's like her and two other people. So Gina and Paolo come home and like kick the other two orgy participants out. They get eaten. Yeah. So that was a kind of a cool scene though. So it was like, okay, the boy gets eaten and the girl, she's like, well, fuck, I'm gonna run. And she runs. And she feels like she's far enough. And then she sees, it turns out to be Mimi. And Mimi is just like, boom. Like, she just like jets over to her so fucking fast. Like, that girl didn't even have a chance to say shit. And she, bam, she got her and she got eaten. She runs faster than fucking Usain Bolt. So they go back to their house and Gina and Mimi are talking to each other and they're just like, you know, mad. And Gina's like, blah, 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 you're doing this and this bad. And then Mimi's like, whatever. So Mimi like grabs her throat and like pushes her up against the wall and like squeezes her neck. And fucking Gina pisses herself. it cuts to Paolo. So he's a screenwriter, right? So he's got an agent, and his agent is like, where the fuck is this guy? Since he's turned into a freaking vampire, he can't find him anywhere. Goes to that one bar that that Paolo was at with that girl. The agent guy, he sits there and he's talking to this bitch, and he's like, have you seen my friend? You know, he's like, he's got dark hair, he's good looking. And she's like, yeah, I remember him. So he, the agent was able to track him down. And so he comes over and they have a good time and they're drinking, and he's like, hey, can I crash here? Is that okay if I crash here? And it took a while because, like, for some reason, Paolo's like, and then Gina's like, sure, yeah, of course you can stay here, no problem. And he's like, okay, great. Like, you can see Gina looking at his neck like, yeah. So he goes to bed, and in the morning, when the morning comes, he's gone. Like, there's no agent. The only thing that's left is his wallet. They're at a party and Mimi shows up. There's a lady who is an actress that was at the fancy party, and she's there. She's an actress, and they watch like her play. And then they're leaving, and then Mimi is with this one girl. She's like this blonde girl, and the blonde girl is like this mega fan, and she wants to meet her so bad. And she's like, okay, we'll hang out with me and we'll go meet her. Later on, back at the household, Gina's household, Paolo is in the shower, and you know, he's minding his own business, taking a shower. And of course, somebody comes to join him. And it's not his love, it's fucking Mimi. And Mimi puts some kind of spell on him. So she makes him like lay down on the like gross bathroom floor and does the nasty with him. Yeah. So Gina like is at the flower shop, and Paolo is like packing. He's like, babe, we got to go somewhere. We're going to leave. We're going to get the fuck out of Dodge. And Mimi took that little blonde fangirl to that one lady's house and leaves her there to get eaten by this lady. And Mimi goes in. She's like, you know what? I will help you get rid of this body, but you got to do this and this and this and that for me. So Paolo, he's like, well, I have to tell you something. And he tells Gina about the thing with her sister. And then the next scene, she's like, she's got these like mascara tears. And she's like, well, I killed your agent, or I ate your agent, so I guess we're even. Mimi gets that lady to like pay for all her expensive shit that she needs. Yeah. So Mimi is driving, and she sees a deer, and she goes, wah! And then she just gets into this big old car crash, and she's like limping, and she's limping away, but like the sun is out, so she's limping and she's like trying to get to safety, but she can't because of the sun. The sun keeps eating away at her. And then somebody finally comes to help her, and it's the maid. It is her sister's maid. And of course her sister's maid is very, very loyal. Like Mimi's like, oh, help me. And the maid's like, Gina and Paolo are getting ready to leave. They got all their shit packed and they're gonna head out. And then there's the maid. So there's the maid, and the last scene is the maid looking over at this black sack that moves. And then they're like, bye. And Paolo and Gina kiss. And that is the end of the movie. Alright, what did I think of the movie? So I read that it was supposed to be kind of an homage to a lot of the vampire-ish movies from the 60s and 70s. They were a lot more sexy. It was biting of the neck and, you know, sexy women, sexy men. I feel like they did a good job. The acting was good. Like, it wasn't cheesy. Like, they had really, like, good actors. But let's read some reviews, shall we? Kiss of the Damned tries to give the vampire movie something it definitely does not need. Class. Excellent vampire movie. Boring vampires. Low budget vampire film that brings nothing new. Still a better love story than Twilight. Modern day Euro vamps and boring vampires who do almost nothing. So, very mixed reviews here. What I thought, yeah, it was, if you're looking for some, you know, thrills, I know Milo, you know, he's hot. There's some very good looking people here. You get to see a lot of sex scenes. It was alright. I will give this movie like a 6. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. I will see you later. Bye.